Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Fail to Find, a Magic the Gathering podcast. It's been a long time since I've recorded. I have a new co host with me, my buddy Alex. Alex, how are you doing today?
I am great. I would like to be credited with the fact that you realize that it's been a very long time since you recorded an episode. So you are welcome, Internet.
Yes, and actually, Alex was my first foray into YouTube because I appeared on his channel years ago debating one of our friends, Rocco. Where Rocco, if you hear this, we miss you, bud. Um,
Yes. Yeah,
Years and years ago.
I think that was War of the Spark and us kind of like debating the cards that we thought were going to make an impact on Commander.
Yep.
Um, yeah, something like that. I'm gonna plug it, but if you're curious out there, listener, to go onto YouTube and look up the EOT Newsflash Network, you will find roughly 170 some odd episodes of me ranting about Magic with various personalities. Ben, you're on there. Our buddy Chris is on there. Rocco, Devin, tons of my friends from back when I lived in Texas. A couple of Magic pros occasionally make an appearance on there. It was a good time. It was a good time. Relatively, it was a good time.
Yeah, no, it was definitely it was fun. I loved being on this podcast. And then you said you were my first one of my first picks for the original co-host. Um, but I know you were busy, so I'm glad we're able to do this now. It'll be every 2 weeks, I think is right now the plan.
I believe so.
Um,
That's what we kind of decided on.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do some quick plugs. YouTube.com/BRBMTG for Bathroom Brews MTG. That's me. I'm Ben. You can check out all of my content there. I primarily focus on EDH, but I'm branching out into Brawl. I'm hoping to do some draft and modern and legacy with Alex. Um, so like, comment, subscribe over on YouTube, on Spotify. I don't know how people interact with things, so just do whatever you need to do over there on Spotify. Today we'll be talking about Edge of Eternities, our experiences in the limited format, which is some frustration, but I think that's player skill and definitely not um set build, like set power level. And
No,
then we're gonna go
definitely
over some
not.
yeah, and then we're gonna go over some Spider-Man talk, and I think Universes Beyond, like, as general, and some of our gripes with Spider-Man. Um so let's kick things off with Edge of Eternities here. Alex, you did not do a pre-release, right?
Not in the traditional sense. My schedule's been pretty busy to do in-person paper magic, so I was waiting rather impatiently for Edge to actually drop on Arena. I actually jumped on the weekend before and found it was Final Fantasy Draft, which I was perfectly fine with because if we get a chance to talk about that at all, I absolutely adore Final Fantasy and Universe Beyond Final Fantasy. But so far, I've done a relatively successful seal that went 5-3 with a pretty sweet green white counters deck. And I'm in the middle of a draft where it's basically mono blue with some of the power green and some uncommon. So relatively new to the format, but I've gotten a pretty good, I wouldn't say handle on it, but I've gotten a taste for it.
Yeah, I had a good sealed pool. I thought it was a good sealed pool. I ended up going 3-3 in my first sealed. Um, I would have to pull the deck back up. I think it was black red. Not my finest. It was. Oh no, I was. Is it? I was. Is it? Um, let me start with pre-release. The Friday night pre-release. Uh, my LGS I go to normally has just 3 rounds, pack a win. So I went 0-2 round 1-2. I did open Strip Mine and Foil Inkmoth Nexus, so we'll take those. I went 0-2 into the buy round. So my third round, I just got the free win. Opened my prize pack, opens the foiled token doubler. So prize support fine. Experience, I was super upset with myself. It's pre-release, like, who
Yeah, it's
actually
pre-release.
cares?
Yeah.
But I
And
was
was this the
like,
evening that you had people trying to play it out for top eight, or was that the next night that you played?
that was Saturday night. So
Okay.
Friday night, I'm driving home and I'm thinking about my pool, as every Magic player does, being like, wow, variance sucks. And then you realize, when you take like 5 seconds to like think about everything, I actually just built a really bad deck. So I got home, it was like 9:30, 10. Like, it wasn't even that late. And my wife's in the living room. I'm like, I need 15 minutes. I need to just unpack my bag and I need to look at something. And I look, and I have like the most cracked black red deck. I just got so focused on red green because of the strip mine ink moth. I didn't even have the lock. I didn't even have the strip lock. Um, So I was like, crap. Okay, fine. Lesson learned. We go to the beach with some of her work friends for like 10 hours on Saturday. The dungeon game with my normal LGS has a 6 p.m. pre-release. We don't get home. We're not leaving the beach till like 6. I look online, and Dragon's Lair, the other LGS I go to, has an 8 p.m. I'm like, sure. So we get home just in time. I shower, get my wife fed, and I'm literally showing up at the LGS at like, I think it was 5 minutes to fire. Like and it's like 2 minutes down the road, thankfully. Get there, 21 people. So like not huge, but like bigger than Dungeon, which I think was actually the Dungeon might have been about the same. Um, but it's 5 rounds cut to top 8
Which is ridiculous. Can we just put that out there right now? That is a ridiculous pre-release event.
with 21 people. It's a 5 rounds cut top 8, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. So I'm there to play. So no matter how I do, I'm gonna play it out. I'm talking to Alex as I'm deck building, and we get a pretty sweet. I end up with like a Rakdos blue splash deck with the 2 board wipes, the Rakdos board wipe that seals creatures, and then the black blue one that mills. Um, and ended up going. I went 3-1-1 because we drew into top 8 because we were gonna split. But I played a friendly game against my opponent. I threw together an Is It deck that I just wanted to try, and ended up winning. So technically, I went 4-1. Um,
Technically correct. The best kind of correct. Let's get that,
correct.
get that straight.
Um,
Yeah.
True. And even with tiebreakers, I was still in third, ending 3-1-1. I still, because everyone I lost to, oh no, the only person I lost to got first. My only loss was the winner that night. But we ended up splitting, so we each got 5 packs. Um, Now I didn't tell you this, Alex. So this is when I felt like I was a good Magic player and I was disciplined and it paid off, which doesn't happen often because I have
You
a
had a
high risk
PT moment
tolerance.
then.
Yeah. I have a super high risk tolerance in games, which is why I don't climb super high because I don't mind taking risks. Um it was I had a lander token out, and this guy had the mythic snake that just keeps putting counters on things.
Ouroboros, yeah, that thing is a
Or
nightmare to play against.
Ouroboros and the
Yeah.
uncommon legend. I don't remember her name. I should pull it up.
The green white one or the
Green white one.
green white one? Oh yeah, I can't think of its name either, but it's got a miles worth of text on it.
Yeah, it puts counters on creatures, and when creatures with counters on it deal combat damage, you draw a card, one or more.
Yeah,
And so I crack the lander,
yeah.
and I have one
Elias in the
island.
cadet.
Yes, and I have one lander token. I have one island in my deck because it's only one blue card. I have enough landers, and I have other mana fixing. And I'm looking at my hand, and I have one red out, and I have 2 black. So I'm like, okay, I can um either I might have had like 5 black, like 4 black and a red. It was something weird where I couldn't cast either of my board wipes.
Right, right.
And one of them is 7 mana, one of them is 6. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna go for the island, I think. I was thinking of going for the red so I can like cast more spells from my hand, but I'm like, I'll get the island. I'll get the one of island. On the off chance, I rip the board wipe off the top, and it lets me win here because I was dead on board. They had the mythic, they had the Ouroboros and this thing out with a ton of power, and they had just hit me for like 12. And I'm like,
Jeez.
all right, I'll be disciplined. I'll grab the island, draw. I look, and I just flip it off the top of my deck, board wipe them, and then I mill their second Ouroboros that they had in their deck.
They had a second one.
Yep.
Jeez. Some people, all the luck.
Yeah. Game 2, I got steamrolled. I just like missed one land drop and just got crushed. And then in game 3, I had the other board wipe, and I played that, stole their creatures, and killed them.
Love it. Love it.
They were gonna drop, but they actually made top 8. They got 7th, so they just came in top 8. They went 3-2. So sealed, really enjoyed. Uh, it board wipe. The board wipes are insanely powerful, especially in sealed where it's a lot slower.
Hmm.
Any cards that you found you looked at and were like, I don't know how I feel about it. Then you played it, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, it's good.
There was a ton. Like I'm looking at my sealed deck that I'm playing right now. So there's I'm gonna kind of like go up the curve here. So Focus Fire, it's a single white, deals X damage, where X is the number of creatures and spacecraft you control +2. Of all the combat tricks in the format, I think that's gonna be one that defines this whole format. I really like Sea Chip Impact, the one in a green instant and uncommon that destroys a target artifact or enchantment. And that if its mana value was 2 or less, you create a lander token. I forget the number off the top of my head, but there is some odd about 70 some odd cards in this set that are either an artifact or an enchantment. And this hits all of those, and just that extra bonus off of the 2 mana or less ones is just icing right there. And I think like for a format that you can main deck, without much risk, enchantment removal like that is just fantastic. Then we've got I'm forgetting the name of it, but it's the 2/2 double striker in white, which just seems to grow completely out of control. Um, Germinating Worm is another card that I cast it for its warp, got the 2 life off of it, and then realized on turn 5 that I could cast it again. And I thought, wait a second, I thought this can cost 6, and it's only a 5 mana, 5 that gains you 2 life. Um, but I'll tell you, the card that was deeply unimpressive to me, it's Ice Till Explorer. Have you seen this one, Ben? The 2 and 2 green, 2/4. I think it's like an Insect Scout for it's rare. Lets you play an additional land on each of your turns, and when you can play a land from your graveyard. But when you play a land, you mill a card. I have
Yeah.
never seen such disgusting variance on a card in my entire life, where it was literally play my land, mill a non-land, and then my next draw would have been another land. Like I had it in the deck and I wanted to take it out so badly, but I needed like a body on 4. And it just every time I drew, I looked at it and said, "Can you just work with me one time, buddy?" And every single time it was, "Well, I'm gonna mill a removal spell. I'm gonna remove a creature now." And I just got so over it. I know it's gonna do a lot of things in standard, I'm sure, but for a limited card, I was deeply unimpressed by it.
Yeah, it's definitely people are gonna open it with strip mine, and people are gonna learn why strip mine's limited and banned everywhere.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, the
yeah, restricted in vintage.
Yeah, and banned everywhere else, limited in
Yes.
Vintage, and then I mean, still legal in Commander and pointed in Canlander and legal in Brawl. For some reason, right now, it's still legal in Brawl. Uh, that's whew. Yeah,
Hey, if
no,
if the Brawl kids want to play that way, power to them. Their format's already wild enough. I can't imagine that strip mine is that much of a problem. If it is, let us know, I guess.
listen, I was working on a Brawl video today, and I played against 6 mana Yoshtala from Final Fantasy stacks, and I'm playing is like Winter Orb turn 2, and I'm
Oh
playing a
my
deck that
god.
that has no rares or mythics. I'm trying to see like how, and it's an aristocrats deck. I got them to 6 before I just scooped it up because they had like midnight clock. I just like couldn't quite get through because I was drawing all of my. I drew all 5 of my non basics
Oh,
against the
gee.
Winter Orb when I have like 30 basic lands in the deck, and I just could not get them. So it was just like
Wow.
I was like, wow, I almost beat this deck with just like uncommons and commons. Um, but back on like on topic here. Yeah, the set for me, a card that has really overperformed that I think I super underrated is Gene Pollinator. It's
Oh, the
that
little
one mana
green
one
drop, one
two.
drop. Yeah, that thing's Birds of
Yeah,
Paradise, just straight up.
yeah, you have to tap an untap permanent you control, but with like you can tap lander tokens for it. So I think my favorite play is like Gene Pollinator into a 2 drop that makes a lander into the ship that you can sack a land or a lander to get 2 lands. Because you can tap
Mm.
this and the lander token to cast the ship, and then you can then cast like another 1 drop. Um, Diplomatic Relations is a great bite spell. It gives vigilance, which I always forget. Like, I have to remember that it does that. Um, because it incentivizes you to use it before combat a little
Yeah,
bit more
and this is the one that
aggressively.
has the text error on it as well.
Yep.
So I don't know if anybody has, if newer players have not caught this, but it's supposed to target a creature that you control first, and then it fights another creature that your opponent's controls. For whatever reason, the text on it forgoes the U control piece, so it acts as a green Doomblade in the way that it was read just off the card. But know that it does not actually work that way.
Yeah.
More of that
It,
Wizard's
oh,
quality control.
oh, they should have just kept it for like 1 week, just see how it does. Um, Cowards. Blooming Stingers. It's that 2 mana 2/2 Death Touch that gives another creature Death Touch.
Fantastic card.
I was if you told me that I would enjoy playing a 2/2 for 2 with Death Touch, like, 'cause I will slam this on 2 with no creatures out just to, like, get a good blocker in play.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, like, that card, Nutrient Block also has been, like,
yeah.
surprisingly I see it and I'm like, "Eh," but I definitely the decks I've used it in, have been, like, love it. Like, it is a good card. It's great with Gene Pollinator. It's indestructible, so it's hard for them to remove it, which means you can use this. You can constantly just tap it for Gene Pollinator.
Mhm.
There's the 4 mana artifact that common that it enters, sack a artifact, put a counter on a creature, and draw a card. Uh, you can just feed nutrient blocks to that. Cryogen Relics, that 2 mana artifact at common that ETBs or leaves, draw a card.
One of the best blue commons in the set. Let's just put that one out there.
Yeah, yeah, it's so good. I think my favorite combo I've done though has been the 4 mana, the artifact, the creature that ETBs, sack an artifact, put a counter on this thing, on a creature and draw a card. Sacrificing the 2 mana white creature that ETBs with a counter, and when it dies, you put its counters on something else.
Yes, the little lander guy. Yeah, it's a little artifact. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the
I've got the spoilers up here. I'm trying to find it as fast as I can.
yeah, we should talk about card names. A Dockwork Drone. 2 mana,
Yep,
one
Duckworth
one
Drone.
enters
Yeah,
with a +1/+1 counter on it. When it dies, put its counters on target creature you control.
yeah.
Um, Overall, I think Warp and Lander tokens and Void, I think all of these mechanics are easily in the top like 5 or 10 limited mechanics in recent years.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would say that next. I'm thinking about all. I mean, I didn't get a chance to experience, Outlaws or Aether
Outlaws was
Drift.
Outlaws was fine. Aether Drift was not bad.
He's
Uh
so hesitant on that.
I didn't do a ton of Aether Drift. I what happened to me in EOE happened in Aether Drift, and I didn't really have anyone to talk to, so I just kind of stopped drafting it. Um, I did some moto drafts, and I did better. Uh, but it's not like a format I'm super familiar with. I
Yeah.
really liked the first like 2 weeks of Tarkir until it became 5 color soup, and up until then,
Ugh, I've
great
got
format.
flashbacks now. Now, did you play the original Tarkir format back
The-
in
I
whatever
I
year that was of our Lord 2014? I think.
I played it when they released it back on Arena. I did some drafts. They flashed
Oh, okay.
back.
So it's
Um,
funny you mentioned the 5 color soup thing because that was the summer that I PTQ'd with my friends harder than any other time in my life. Like we were every single week hopping in the car to drive to Little Rock or Houston or some tiny little podunk town, and I have nothing good to say about Tarkir Limited. The life gain lands that were at common, the fact that everything was morphing. I've never been more miserable playing Magic Limited in my entire life, and that's
which
all
is
I'll say.
so crazy because it's considered one of the GOAT formats.
Well, I mean, it put so many cards into standard. Like the standard format was fantastic to bring back fetch lands, to bring back all the multicolor rares like Mantis Rider and Siege Rhino for all the damage that thing did to the format. The standard format was excellent. And for players who were really hot on Morph, I can understand their appreciation of it. But like, if you can put yourself in the position of every single game you sat down to play in limited was going to be usually the first 3 or 4 turns was players taking turns playing the life game lands. So the games usually started on turn 4 when you played your first face down creature as a morph, and you're usually about 24, 25 life before anything actually started happening. And there were too many. Well, I don't want to say too many. There were enough mythic rares in that set that were basically unbeatable. Wingmate Rock was a 5 mana, if I'm not mistaken, 3/4 flyer that if you had raid enabled, which was if you had the pre with in that turn, it created a token that came along with it, a bird token. Basically, an unbeatable card in the format. And there was like other text on that thing that just I get PTSD thinking about it. Like there were so few ways to beat cards like that that really just like if you looked at the top tables of any Grand Prix, if you guys can remember what those were, or PTQ or any limited event where there was money on the line, every single person at the top tables had a Wingmate Rock in their deck. Like it was that ubiquitous with the format. It was horrible.
5 mana, 3/4 flying raid. So when this creature enters, if you attack this turn, you create a 3/4 white bird creature token with flying. So you attack, play this, and then whenever this creature attacks, you gain 1 life for each attacking creature.
That was the other part of that. I forgot the life gain text on it. But yeah, I cannot think of a more disgusting limited card to play against. Absolutely just unbearable time to play against that card.
Yeah, I enjoyed my time with it on Arena. I didn't do a ton of drafts, but I enjoyed the few I did. It might be that because 17 lands and all these data resources exist now, the format probably looks so much different compared to when you were doing it.
Oh, most definitely,
So
yeah.
I would love to go back and look. I mean, 17 land should have the data. We should do that. That might be a fun video. Going
Yeah.
back and just looking at some of the Tarkir flashback drafts, just to being like, all right, what were people doing with so much more information now? Because before, for the Zoomer Magic players before Arena, because you and I remember when Arena, like, we were did you, I don't know if you beta tested Arena, but I remember beta testing Arena and having a full set of Aether Revolt like given to me,
Yeah,
like
I
on
didn't beta
Arena.
test it, but I was in within the first, I guess you could call it, whatever post beta situation there was. I was on it within a matter of weeks. Yeah.
Um, and the amount of data we can collect now for limited formats compared to before, where you basically had paper drafts and MTGO, and getting data from MTGO is like pulling teeth before. I think it's a lot better now, but it's still not. It's a 30-year-old program, 25-year-old program at this point. Um, so I think 17 lands has been. That's a whole other discussion. I'm getting absolute
Oh
tangent
yeah,
here.
yeah. I
Um,
absolutely have my own. I'll just say this, and this is absolutely a great topic for a future episode here. I think the hive mind that exists for Magic players to go and get that kind of data from 17 lands, to use untapped GG, all the overlays that you can plug in when you're drafting on Arena to know that you're picking the best card every single time. I think that does a lot of good things in the short term for players, but I think long term and then this people feel free to disagree with this take here. I think that damages people's ability to evaluate properly, and also really constricts the creativity that exists for limited environments into deck building. I can tell you an example back from Strixhaven, where it was all enemy colored decks. Red, white, black, white, blue, green. But I remember there was an LSV video from, I guess, however years ago that was, where he drafted a green white deck that was primarily all Simic cards, but he was playing it with just green white mana, and he absolutely wrecked the tables. And it's instances like that where you have so few moments of real creativity that shine through. And just to come back around too, I just think that when you've got so many sources of data that are saying play black red, pick these cards, you're going to miss out on some of the more nuanced and potentially hidden themes that happen with it.
yeah, no, I think Wilds of Eldraine um, did a really good example of this, and so did Lost Caverns, where like Wilds of Eldraine, there was a blue white deck, and blue white was like the worst performing color in limited, and then people realized. I remember who it was. I know Circovitz, Magic by the Numbers, who or Magic by the Numbers. I think that's the name of the show. Um, I want to get him onto this podcast. By the way, you would. I
Would love to pick his
He's
brain. Absolutely.
absolute data nerd and is like the content I love watching. Like he is one of my favorite creators. Um, and there's this blue white control deck, and people were just drafting the wrong cards for it. Like it's supposed to be like a tapping down like stun counters deck, and instead what you're supposed to do is just take counter spells and removal. and just like kind of ignore the theme and just take the good white and blue cards from other strategies. Um,
Yeah, which is so counterintuitive because if you talk about taking counter spells and removal spells and only that in limited, that's a recipe for disaster because your counter spells will rarely line up when you need them to. The removal only goes so far, and then once you've exhausted all those resources, you have to finish the game somehow, and you have to hope that you got a bomb or something because it's your little merfolk leader or whatever's in the format is not going to get you there.
yeah, like there's definitely so there's and I'll bring it to Edge of Eternities. So what I like using like 17 lands for is if it's like a pack one pick one and I'm like really close between a few cards and I'm like I don't quite know what I want to grab here and I'll just kind of look and I'll look at like the highest win rate which is like game in hand win rate and
Yeah,
my first like pick where I'm like I'm between these three cards. I don't know what I want to do. If it's not like a bomb rare, uh, I'll kind of look there and be like, everything here is within like 2% of each other. I'll just kind of grab what I'm feeling. But you can't just go in and see like what is the highest rated card, like what's the highest win rate card, and draft like that because you will just not draft a cohesive deck. I
oh yeah, because the strategy
limited,
goes out the window. The synergy's not there anymore. Yeah,
yeah. And looking back at some of my decks, I think I was so focused on color, not synergy. I think that's why some of my decks were like god awful. And the ones that I went like 3-3 or like 4-3 with were just misplays more than bad drafts, and the O3s were like god awful drafts. Um, because this set is definitely a synergy set. Like you can't.
yeah,
So Bloomborough is like one of. I loved Bloomborough. I know people didn't really like it. I liked how on rails it was, where it was just kind of fun to be like, I'm playing raccoons today, and you're
yeah.
just kind of slamming raccoons, and that was like a fun thing for me. But you can't just do that in this set. Like there are these it's limited resources and Lords of Limited talk about like these hidden gold cards that they're blue or they're green, but they're really like Selesnya, green white,
Yeah.
or and not having like a bunch of those in your deck where I showed you the draft, the mono green Simic splash deck. I
Mhm.
had the 5 mana ship that puts counters on all your creatures. And I took that out because I'm like, well, I don't really like go that wide, and I don't really need my Gene Pollinator to have like a one counter on it. I'm playing lands. Why am I playing this ship that does nothing with my strategy
Yeah, your
versus
game plan is
another mono?
not to make a wide board state. Like you said, it's to ramp. It's to get into those 3/7 drops that I'm pretty sure you left in the deck.
I cut one of them. Well, I had 4/7 drops before. Now I only have three.
Because that
So
makes it better. Yeah.
yeah.
Which
That's
I
fine.
mean,
I don't.
in your defense though, like Glacial Godmaw is the 7 drop in question. No, it is basically an uncommon Critterhoof behemoth. It is an absolute monster, and to get to 7 mana in this format is not a difficult thing to achieve. But you do have to survive to that point too.
I mean, I have two Sammy's Curiosities. I have I could put another germinating worm in and have two of those. I'm not. I could, but I don't think I want too many of those, and I don't know what I would take out. I'm tempted to take out Shatterwing, um, and put in another germinating worm. It's the warp one and a green, gain 2 life, 5 mana, five
Yep,
five.
fantastic card.
Um, yeah. I have two Bloom Stingers. I have two Galactic Wayfarers. I have Larval Scoutlander. Like this deck, Harmonious Grove Strider, that 5 mana Star Ward 2. I had to get up and walk away real quick, and I had another one in my pool in my pack, and it auto picked me Gene Pollinator. So I could have had two Grove Striders instead of three Pollinators. I'm like, I hate this game. Um, so yeah, it the format is definitely way more synergy based. Um, my early impressions, without really looking at too much data, I'm not seeing a ton of is it.
Yeah, and that's interesting because a lot of the early set reviews I was reading put blue black and blue red as kind of the decks you want to be in. But from what I've seen so far, I've seen those decks, but I've been very unimpressed by those decks because they have the removal piece that, granted, the removal in this set is pretty solid for the format, or for as far as limited goes. But I think the creatures just outclass it by a point or two. And so if you're trading off your removal spell for a 2/2 double striker, which is nothing to sneeze at, but if you get rid of that, there's probably an even better card coming from your white opponent. That's going to get even bigger than that double striker would be.
Yeah, there's the life linker that puts counters on all your creatures.
Absolutely
Uh,
nonsense card. Yeah.
yeah, like so, and this will kind of loop into universes beyond limited and stuff. I think Wizards though have in the last several years, I think at this point, limited has like the power has been in the uncommons,
Oh,
and
absolutely,
there is
absolutely.
an abundance of removal. Like I think the last really bomb set I can think of was in Midnight Hunt or Phyrexian
Oh,
All will be one. Like
that
there was
just
like
puts a
one of
bad taste in my
those.
mouth.
Well, I remember I, I remember doing a Midnight Hunt draft and sending a picture in our group chat on Facebook Messenger. For the love of God, we need to get off of that. Um, and I had like 5 lightning helixes. It were like something just
Which, yeah,
I
that's
just like kept
fine,
picking them. I'm like,
but
all
you have
right,
to put
let's
them at
just.
creatures too. This
And I just
isn't
didn't. I
modern
was.
burn.
It turns out modern bird's good. Um,
That's fair. That's
also,
fair.
there are also a lot of burn spells in this set. A lot of these burn spells can go like there's a 1 mana almost lightning bolt with void.
Yeah, plasma shock or whatever it's called.
Yeah, like I've been killed by that more times than I care to admit. This I will say this has been my worst performing set of all time by a 10-point swing. Like
Wow.
my bad sets are usually like 53-54% win rate. Like I'm going like 3-3-4-3 like consistently. I've never had this many O3s. I don't think ever in the history and all the time I've been using 17 lens.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to note too because obviously we are in a Magic arena is sort of the way that I would wager 60% of people, maybe even more than that, actually engage with Magic on a daily basis.
I
Like,
think more,
depending on
but
where you think, I would, yeah, I could go higher. I could 75, maybe even 80%,
I would say
and that's
80%.
yeah. So like, that's the only way that people engage with Magic if they don't live close to an LGS or if they don't have the money to play paper Magic. You know, when you can jam, realistically like 4 or 5 drafts if you've got the downtime in a day, I eventually your win rate will kind of even out if you are at least an average player. But I think in this instance, because this is the biggest problem I have with Arena is too often like I'm playing against a computer and it's just a video game. And in the instances where I'm drawing no lands, all lands, or my opponent just has the absolute nuts, it just makes me feel like I'm playing against that computer who is deciding to cheat all of a sudden, and it makes the losses that much worse. And when I see that win rate, if I'm logging in 17 lands or untapped, it just amplifies it that much more for me and makes the feel bads just stick. And that's my biggest problem with Arena is that it's Magic without the Gathering, and
Yeah.
I know that they can't fix.
Yeah, no, like I'm looking. Okay, Duskmorn. I had a really bad. I didn't do nearly as many drafts. I think I've done twice as many drafts of Edge of Eternities. I've hold on, let me map that out real quick. That's gonna be embarrassing how many games I've played. I've played 64 games of draft already. Um, and I'm at like a 43% win rate, 44%. Um, which is like I've had in Final Fantasy, I had over 100 and I was at 55%. Like, not bad, not great, but definitely not bad. Bloomburrow, I was at like 58%. MH3 56. So I'm like a OTJ, I was at 56. So I'm like I would say average drafter. Um, I do really well in Vintage Cube. I will say best of 3 Magic. I do I can 2-1 like pretty regularly and like 3-0 if I hit the nut. But yeah, it's this format has been it feels like Duskmorn, where it's very synergy based, and I think I just struggle with sets like that. Like it's I need to practice my fundamentals um of the set and just like what cards go with each other instead of just colors go with colors.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like you were talking about those hidden gold cards, the ones that just don't fit your archetype, that don't fit your strategy, that needs to be read. And if you're somebody who relies overly relies on those 17 land sites and other tools like that, you're going to constantly be picking the best card mathematically in the pack. But again, your strategy is going to falter because of that. You might have
Yeah.
two really solid, two cards that are basically fives or whatever scale you want to grade them on, but they do diametrically different things. One is a very fast aggressive creature, and the slow removal spell, and the two of those, can mesh for the most part. But if your deck is of two minds like that, you will have a very poor experience, most likely.
Yeah, like there's obviously overlap. So there's like the Sunstar Lightsmith, which is the 4 mana 3/3. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, you put a +1/+1 counter on this creature and draw. So it cares about +1/+1 counters. So you could put it in the +1/+1 counters deck, but you're probably putting it in the draw in the casting two spells deck. But then you have like warp creatures that are really good because that's casting a spell. Then you have like Weft Blade Enhancer, where it has warp and it puts counters on things. So you have to decide where am I putting this? Like it can go in the second spell deck, but is that what I'm looking for? So it's like cards like that where they can go in a lot of places, but where is it the best? And being able to make that judgment call. Like I was curious because I was looking up. So like the Lash Whip Predator, it's that 6 mana 5/7 with reach that it costs if your opponent controls three or more creatures, it costs two less. So it can be a 4 mana
Yeah.
5/7. And I was curious, so under I looked up the card, and in all decks, it has like a what is it? It has like a 55% win rate. And like you're just looking at all cards. And I'm like, I wonder what the win rate is in just like Simic. And of course it's super early on, right? Um, where is it? What was this creature called again? I just totally lost my train of thought. I know it was
If,
something with
if,
the
if we're
creature.
talking names of this set, I am
Lash Whip.
terrible. The names are so obtuse
Yeah.
for me to try to latch
Yeah.
onto. I cannot.
Yeah. And in like blue green, it has like a 56% win rate, which is like really good. But this is obviously like super rough. I'm not a data scientist. But it's like one of the worst performing Simic cards, despite it being really good in green. And like, is it better in green white? And it's figuring the stuff out like that that I think
Yeah,
is like really
absolutely. Yeah.
important in a set like this of just like where cards need to be.
Yeah, and I think if you also, I'm on the Sun page now. If you want to get a really good sense of the cards that you should be really thinking about, don't stick to the A pluses, the A's, not into the C tier, which obviously you look at Sunstar. Beginning of your end step, if you control two more tap creatures, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, and then you can move around those counters as well, or you can target creatures. So it's good on offense, it's good on defense. Of course, it's going to be a good card. It's a 2 mana 3/2. But, think about the uncommons, think about the commons
Yeah.
that, like Pedigree Beckoner. This is, I think this is one that's part of the infinite combo. The 5 mana
Yep.
4/5 enters the battlefield until the end of turn. Another creature gets +2/+0, and when it dies, it returns tapped under your control. And it has warp. It has a 56.7% win rate, which doesn't sound good, but you need to be able to identify when these cards are good. And 56% of the time it's a game winner, which is still well above average, I would say. So just being able to identify when cards are good outside of just the obvious is a very important skill. So if you are leaning on sites like look beyond the obvious.
And another thing. Oh my god, I feel like I should know. I was about to say something. This is what I get for doing this podcast late at night. Um, it'll come back to me. So we'll loop back around. So let's do an easy, nice segue right into like Spider-Man, I guess, because I think I don't know how we're gonna segue this. Oh, it was like Final Fantasy drafts, and like how this set feels very flavorful, and Final Fantasy, and all the last few sets have been really flavorful. And then you look at Spider-Man, and I have some qualms with.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
I think let's like touch on the fact that this is a Universes Beyond set first and foremost. So this is now so we've had Warhammer, and I'm looking like the actual sets here. So we've had I don't consider Battle for Baldur's Gate a Universes Beyond set, but we've had
yeah,
Warhammer, we've had Lord of the Rings, we've had Doctor Who, Fallout, Assassin's Creed, Final Fantasy, and Marvel Spider-Man. I think it's
not including
important.
Secret Layers.
Yeah, not including Secret Layers, which
Like these are
will
like
if
set
we
propers.
yeah set propers. At minimum they have commander decks, which I think definitely qualifies because these are still playable legacy and vintage, and those cards do show up. The One Ring and Orcish Bowmaster, a good example of that. I think we the disdain for the cards is clear here. But I think it's important that sometimes you have to identify your own bias in these things. It's like the started, Ben, you admitted that you're not a big Spider-Man fan, so you have the ability to look at the set from a Magic player perspective and identify, are these cards good? Are they well designed? Are they flavorful? Even if I'm not a Spider-Man fan. But someone like me, I love Spider-Man. Grew up watching Spider-Man cartoons, played video games. I think I even dress up as Spider-Man for Halloween. Maybe far too old to have been really dressing up anymore. But like Spider-Man,
It was last Halloween.
it probably it probably was.
He came to my
But
wedding as Spider-Man.
oh god, I wish that were true. God, I wish your wedding had been cosplay.
Oh my god. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail. Continue. My bad.
No. I'm just imagining what that would have been like now in the brewery. Too very very hot at that point too. That would have been
Oh,
all kinds of wonderful and all kinds of horrible at the same time. Sweating and drinking,
so hot.
and yeah, it'd been great. Um,
Anyways,
but if the IP resonates with you, I think you have to really look beyond your own bias and identify, like you can, is a card or a set designed well? Does it have flavor beyond the IP? Does this make you excited to cast a spectacular Spider-Man? And if it doesn't, and even the people like myself who are fans of Spider-Man look at this and go, something just doesn't feel right. I think as a Universes Beyond, you have failed, and I think that's important to note there.
yeah. So like, I'll give some context on Final Fantasy. I play 14 on and off. I don't think I've never hit cap, but I've played it for like a lot. It's just a casual game that I come back to every so often. I'll resub, play for a few weeks, be like, I got my fix of an MMO, and I'm 30 now and have a wife and don't have time for MMOs as much as I want, especially with content creation. It's harder, right? So
Yeah.
I don't want to commit that much time just to one game. Um, and I played Final Fantasy X when I was like 13, beat it. I don't remember much, but I did really enjoy the game. Like it was like one of my favorite JRPGs of all time. Um, and looking at the Final Fantasy set, despite not knowing a lot about Final Fantasy, the cards in the set felt like Magic cards. And that's a little pedantic, but I guess what I mean by Magic cards feel like Magic cards. When I'm drafting Final Fantasy, I'm not losing my immersion that I'm playing Magic the Gathering. It The cards feel like Magic cards.
Mhm.
They're within the rules engine and they're flavorful, but I can look at a card, read what it does, and it like resonates in a way. Some of these Spider-Man cards, especially with how many common legends there are, which I don't know if this is a draftable set, I'm not. I will
Oh, it
probably
is. It
do.
absolutely is. Yeah.
I will do one draft and see if I hate everything, because having this many legends at common is seems like it's gonna be a nightmare. Um, we don't see the whole set yet, but yeah, it doesn't the flavor. I don't know if I want to say the flavor doesn't come through because I don't know the flavor of Spider-Man. The cards just look fine.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes like, and it's not even from like a standard power level. It's like from a limited perspective. Like the cards seem fine.
Yeah. Well, and it's it's interesting we talk about Final Fantasy. I am a massive Final Fantasy fan. I am working on a master set of all the cards. I have played more than half of the mainline series games and plenty of the spin. I was like, I love Final Fantasy. When the remake for 7 was announced, however many years ago with that first trailer, I was probably jumping out of my skin. I was so excited. So like when you talk about resonating, not only do the cards resonate for me as good magic cards, they resonate as good representations of the characters and the creatures from the games that I know. Because I can tell, or at least from my perspective, I can tell somebody who really, really likes Final Fantasy really understands how those mechanics from those games would translate to Magic, and they did a bang on job. Like everything about the set just works, from the saga creatures being the summons to the
Yeah.
legends. Just like everything is just represented so well in the set. And then, you know, talking about Spider-Man, I just don't get that sense. There's a post on Mark Rosewater's blogatog Tumblr, if you know what Tumblr is for my millennial kids, where he responded to somebody asking about the size of the set. Originally, Spider-Man was supposedly started out as a set about the size of the Assassin's Creed set, which I think was like 80, 100 some odd cards. And then somewhere along the way, it was decided that it was going to be a standard set. And I have to imagine this was all happening around the time they made the decision to put Universes Beyond into standard. And I know they have to plan these things, months, if not years in advance. So they
Years, yeah.
probably had, yeah, years in advance. They probably had like 15 or 20 really killer cards. And within the set, like there are those cards in there. The Peter Parker card that turns into Spider-Man is really well designed. I look at the Stacy and the Miles Morales, like all of these cards are really, really well designed, and they represent what I think a good um, interpretation of that character would look like. But then there are so many other cards, like you mentioned, all the random uncommons, which just kind of seem to be um, a magic card that was designed for a completely different set and then had a Spider-Man sticker slapped on top of it. Like when you go on Reddit and you see somebody's custom magic set, or they do an alter for an existing card, slap like Iron Man or Batman on it, and they're like, "Yeah, this feels totally like Batman," because it's somewhat mechanically similar, and everyone's like, "Yeah, that's kind of cool. That's what this feels like." And
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest problem that this set is going to face. It's just um, when they went from the small set to the big set, and of course, we have to talk about the fact that Disney, Marvel, or whoever owns the rights to all this is preventing Wizards from putting the set on Arena as it is, and this universes within thing, that whatever they're calling it. I think a lot of these cards that feel underbaked were probably designed with that mandate in place. And so when you look at cards, I'm going to pick on Spider Rex, Daring Dino. It's basically a Dreadmaw. It's a 4 mana. It's a 6 mana 6/6. Has Reach, Trample, Ward 2. Nothing about that screams Spider Dinosaur Hero to me.
Yeah.
But then I look
I
at Peter Parker makes a spider, transforms into Spider Man. Like that's super flavorful, and I just think they've really missed a very, very big mark when it comes to designing the set.
yeah, like there's a card called Taxi Driver, which is
Yes.
a 2 mana 3/1 that you can pay 1 tap, target creature gains haste till end of turn. I look What year are we in?
I
What
don't
year are we
know.
printing a 2 mana 3/1 that you pay one. I'm I'm
Like,
gonna
this
die to
card
this
exists in
limited.
Edge of Eternities, I'm pretty sure.
Like, it's so that yeah, I don't know. It's just not.
It's
So
not
I'm looking at
creative.
yeah, like I'm looking at so let's there's a instant called Thwip. THWIP exclamation point. Uh it's a one white instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 and gains flying till end of turn. If it's a spider, you gain 2 life. That feels like a white combat trick,
Yeah. And can we talk about the
right?
fact that
Like
Spider-Man doesn't actually fly? Like, that alone just drives me up the wall about this set.
everything should have reach
Yeah,
or
exactly, yeah.
things lose flying. Um and then I'll look at Final Fantasy, and there's the white mana 1 mana instant, you're not alone. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If you control 3 or more creatures, it gets +4/+4 instead. You read that and you're like, "Oh, that feels more like a Final Fantasy spell." And maybe and I think part of the issue is Final Fantasy, Lord of the Rings, even Warhammer to some extent. Um I'm not gonna. I'll circle back to Fallout and Doctor Who. Those sets, specifically Lord of the Rings and Final Fantasy, because they are modern and standard legal, where they have like a other sets are obviously legacy or like vintage, like eternal other eternal
Yeah.
formats, but modern and is played more than like legacy and vintage. Lord of the Rings, especially, it's high fantasy. It's like it fit into Magic. It just slotted in. The ring tempting was ass. Fine, it happens. Orcish Bowmaster's the One Ring, the basic land cyclers set was really pushed. I'll like absolutely,
Mhm.
but the set was flavorful and felt like you were playing Magic the Gathering. Final Fantasy, same thing. It's the setting doesn't feel if you've never played Final Fantasy before, it doesn't feel weird. It
It still
and
feels like
weird's not like a
magic.
good word. Yeah, right? Like I can pick up Final Fantasy Drafted and be like and look at it and be like, I don't really know what's going on here, but it's Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this I don't know if Spider-Man as a set or as like a world translates well to Magic, and I don't mean like the mechanics of the cards because I think that like Magic is a complex game engine at this point. Like Magic is not just a card game, like it is a game engine where you can take all of these different universes and worlds and you can make really flavorful cards that people love.
Yeah.
This
They
set
can
does
be
not feel
complex,
like
but they can still be fun too.
yeah, these cards, a lot of these do not feel like the Final Fantasy cards do.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
there's like a I think Doctor Who and Fallout, those cards, despite being very much not Magic, those sets feel like the games and like Magic. Like it's a very like you could tell people who worked on those loved Fallout, loved 40K, loved Doctor Who
yeah.
because the mechanics and the card flavors are so good and not Spider Rex Daring Dino
Yeah.
or Starling Aerial Ally.
Well, yeah, and you actually you just touched on a card that I've been thinking about a lot. You look at a lot of the spoilers that have been put out for Spider-Man, and unless you are I wouldn't even say like deeply entrenched in Spider-Man lore. You know, if you've not read a comic book or seen one of the cartoons, if you've seen like this pretty good intro to some of these characters in here. But yeah, the one that there's like Beetle Legacy Criminal. We've got Stegron the Dinosaur Man. Like, these are characters, Startling, who I don't know who Startling is. I know who Stegron is, but your average, player is not going to know who these characters are. There's nothing. Only the most like ingrained members of the fan bases are going to look at that and go, "Oh my god, I'm so excited!" Beetle, legacy criminal now. Like, you're not, you're appealing to such a niche subset of the market that I think you're kind of missing, the forest through the trees at that point. It's a huge detractor.
I mean, Final Fantasy it definitely had cards where I'm like, I don't know this character, or I've just never played the games, but y- y- yeah, there's something here that just feels it feels like it feels off, right? Like
Yeah,
feels not. This doesn't feel like the labor of love you're used to seeing from the few universes beyond sets we've gotten.
that's a really good way to put it. It does, yeah, it doesn't feel authentic. Um,
Yes. And
and
that's not to, like, throw shade at anyone who's worked on this set, because like, there
oh,
are cards
certainly
that are
not.
really
Yeah,
good, right? Like, designing cards is hard, like, we're idiots in armchairs, so who cares? Um, but yeah, there's something about it that's just it I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's, like, all the references to spiders, which, like, obviously it's, like, Spider-Man, but I don't know. I don't know what it
yeah.
is that's just, like
Yeah, I think for me, because I'm looking at all of the universes beyond, like we talked about them before, the Assassin's Creed, the Fallout, the Doctor Who, and all that, all
Oh, yeah,
whatnot.
Assassin's Creed.
I think for me, because correct me if I'm wrong here, Assassin's Creed was designed and it was only went into modern. Is that correct?
Yep.
But
Yeah, so small
basically,
boosters and only to modern, and I don't think too many of the cards even had an impact in modern,
I
if
don't think
any.
any of them have, to be completely honest. Um, but like, so like the thing that I'm looking at here, all the other universes beyond Fallout, Doctor Who, Lord of the Rings, Warhammer, those were upfront saying these are only going to be commander decks. If some cards make an impact into the formats where they are legal, legacy and vintage, that's fine. Your average Magic player doesn't need to know that trying to like Orcish Bowmaster gets completely or like just really hoses the Echo of Eons Storm decks in Legacy. Like they don't care about that. They don't have to worry about that at all. But because Wizards is now forcing the universes beyonds down our throats and saying that if you're going to play standard, you have to care about Spider-Man. You have to be able to differentiate between Spider-Man Web Slinger, Spectacular Spider-Man, Peter Parker that turns into Spider-Man, Miles Morales that turns into Ultimate Spider-Man, and everybody else in between. That creates a real problem. Like if you're not a fan, like you're not, that's like I can see that causing a problem. But there's this kind of like disassociation that's happening here. You touched on Final Fantasy feeling like magic because for the most part, it looks like magic. There are wizards,
Yeah.
monsters, flaming demons and whatnot. There's a couple.
Chocobos.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you still have some kind of high tech stuff. Final Fantasy 7 and 8 were relatively kind of high tech, fantasy, but they don't look so out of place that you couldn't see Cloud standing next to, oh, I don't
The
know,
Healy.
like yeah, yeah, or Joyra. They look
Yeah.
like Cloud looks like he could be on Kaladesh, for example. I look
Ashkar.
at yeah, yeah, exactly. I look at the Spider-Man cards and they don't look like they belong in Magic. Like this is obviously New York City. New York City doesn't exist in Magic.
Yeah, and, like, you had sets like Streets of New Capenna, where it's more modernized, like, it's the roaring 60s? I don't remember.
20s, 30s. I mean,
30s? Not 60s.
but it
I don't
still
know.
looked fantastical. It was,
Yes. Like
high tech fantasy, which is still a very cool thing.
yeah, like, Edge of Eternities is Magic's take on space, and it's like, "Oh, this is cool. Magic in space works." Magic in Cyberpunk with Kamigawa Neon Dynasties, which was a fantastic set flavor-wise
Yes.
and aesthetically, is just but yeah, this is the I don't wanna say the most egregious, but, like, in terms of
If
a
you don't want to say
main
that, I'll
set
say it.
and the other issue I have with Universes Beyond as a whole, it's not even that we have to play it in standard, it's you have to balance making the cards good enough for standard, but you don't want you don't necessarily want standard to be a Spider-Man deck to be the best deck in standard for like 3 years. I don't
Yeah,
think.
that
Um,
becomes yeah, I don't like
I
the
don't
sound of
think.
that either.
I could be wrong, but I don't know if that's like a thing that will alienate players. And maybe it's because Spider-Man is a much more popular IP. It's gonna sell well. Collectors are gonna get it. People who like Spider-Man are gonna get it. It's gonna happen. Like you can't. There's no ands or buts. Like it's gonna sell well.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
it's just like the question is how does it resonate with some of the more enfranchised players? And obviously, enfranchised players spend probably the least amount of money on Magic. Um, like we're not we know to buy singles, right? Like so we're not the target for this. And I don't even know if I have an issue with Universes Beyond in standard. Like I truly don't think I have an issue with it conceptually, but
I certainly don't know.
I think it
I
needs
think
to
it
be
needs to
done
fit.
well. Yeah, like this I'm looking at I'm gonna pull up Final Fantasy real quick. Let me just make sure it's not crazy.
Oh,
So we have a Give your thought while I look for an example of what
yeah.
I'm
Well, like I think I know where you're going with this one, but like I'm looking at the last 2 weeks of standard decks that have done well, and like obviously we're going to see the blue red aggro deck that won the Pro Tour, or the mono red deck that won the Pro Tour. But like I see the only Final Fantasy card in the blue red deck is Vivi,
yeah.
and then Planisphere, and like that's it. Demir Control, I see Cecil, Dark Knight here. I'm having to do this really fast, but like I, the more universes beyond we get in standard, the more decks are going to start looking like this really weird mashup of characters where we're going to see Cloud and Spider-Man and Aang at the end of this year all like teaming up into some really weird just mashup of whatever Magic's going to look like. And I know that joke has been made about Universes Beyond, but it's going to become the norm when it's no longer just 2 copies of Cecil in a Demir aggro deck with some Deep Cavern Bats, some Enduring Curiosities, Flood Pit Drowner. It's going to be Cecil, Sephiroth, Symbiote Spider Man, and like Zuko in your deck. Like that's going to be your creature base, and it's just going to
Yeah.
look so weird.
Yeah, and obviously, like, looking weird obviously is not, like, a good enough reason to be like, "Oh, this is stupid."
Yeah.
I th
Well,
on
look at those commander decks. I
Well,
mean,
and that's so I have maybe this is I don't think this is a hot take. I think the people who complain about standard looking weird are people who hardly like, I don't think the people who complain the loudest about, like, "Oh, it's coming into my standard, I can't ignore it." I don't think those are the people who are grinding standard on arena and trying to, like, go to the PT.
yeah, yeah.
I think there are pro players, and there are, right? Like, very skilled players who are just like, "Oh, I hate this." And I would say skilled. Like, you can be I'm crap at the game, and I'm like, I don't really love this." Um, but yeah, it just depends. Like, they have to get the power level right, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just like such a weird thing.
Yeah, and I think it's a phase at the end of the day. If you could probably count on one, maybe two hands if you're being generous, of the number of intellectual properties IPs that could make a really compelling Magic set. And we're going to run out of those very, very quickly if Wizards keeps this trend up. I even think that the Avatar set that's coming out this fall, I don't think that is a deep enough IP to give you, how many cards are in a standard deck, standard set 230 some odd. I don't think there's enough characters and permutations of those characters, despite there being 4 seasons of television and one really bad live action movie. And I guess the live action series, I don't think there's enough characters and events and things and callbacks within that universe to make a fully compelling Magic set. And I don't know of any others that we could touch, that we could grab onto, that would make sense to be the next, massive hit for Universes Beyond. Because Lord of the Rings is obviously crazy. Final Fantasy, the biggest one ever, sold 200 million or 20 million or $200 million in one. Like, I don't know what Wizards can do to keep up this momentum, and then out of nowhere just pull like the emergency brake, and all of a sudden we're back to just return to Lorwyn, return to New Capenna, New Phyrexia Strikes Back, and then whatever else, and that's magic as it was 3 or 4 years ago. I think this Universes Beyond Standard period is going to be it's a moment in time. It's not going to be the norm moving forward. I don't think.
Yeah, like so Edge of Eternities has 252 cards that are new. So that's not including any reprints or anything in the set. Final Fantasy had 304, but Final Fantasy you have 16 games to pull from.
Oh yeah,
Like you
yeah.
have
40 years
almost
of history. Yeah,
yeah, like um that's why Assassin's Creed was so small, right? Like it
yeah,
just Assassin's Creed was 105 new cards. And honestly, Assassin's Creed is like a pretty cool set for like Commander. And there, I know
yeah.
Aspiring Spike and other creators have tried a few things with it. I think there's some like really cool like hidden gems in Assassin's Creed. I have a Cleopatra deck that I love in Commander. But yeah, I don't know how this, and I love Avatar. I've
Oh,
seen
don't get me wrong
some
too.
of
I
the
love Avatar.
leaks,
Oh,
and I don't want
deeply.
to cover leaks. Um, but the cards I've seen, I don't have high hopes for. Like they seem cool, but it's I don't know how they're gonna do it. Like
From like a power
the
level perspective, or more just the
power
design of
level,
them in general.
design of them, power level, and getting enough cards. Like just
Yeah,
getting to not have the Spider-Man issue of um you have 15 or not 50, okay, that's a bit of an exaggeration. You, where
15
you
Spider-Mans. Yeah.
yeah, I don't want a bunch of the same characters as different cards. I don't want a Borborygmos and Borborygmos Enraged. Like,
That's a good, yeah. Like, how many iterations of Aang can you make? So you have waterbending Aang, firebending Aang, earthbending Aang, airbending Aang, and then Avatar Aang. That's 5 cards right there for you. Like Wizards, I just did your job for you, but that does get boring.
yeah, like it's so we'll see how the set does. We don't know the mechanics. We don't know anything about it. The one I also really want to address, um, and I have some copium, is that they pushed back Lorwyn for I think Avatar or Spider-Man,
Oh, that's
one of the two
unfortunate.
sets. So Lorwyn, so we're missing the rest of the shocks. The rest of the shocks, I think, are all going to be the creatures from Lorwyn. So, like, white blue is going to be Merfolk, which is why we don't have Hollowed Fountain, which is why it's not enemy or allied. So I think we're gonna like, it's going to be another like Kindred set, and we're going to get the rest of the fetches, the rest of the shocks for the tribes from Lorwyn.
Oh, I'm 100% in for that. That sounds perfect. Yeah, that makes
That's
all
what
the
I think.
sense. Yeah,
Yeah, Overgrown Tomb for elves, blah 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 blah.
yeah, perfect.
But I the last few set, let me pull up the last few set releases.
There's too many of them.
Yeah. List of Magic the Gathering sets. Thank you, Wikipedia. Um,
Yeah.
so if we're looking back, so this is awful. Never mind. I should just know these like offhand. I'm a content creator, damn it. We'll just go here. So I think Foundations, Tarkir Dragonstorm. Foundations was such a great set that I wish I played limited. I just didn't have the chance. Like I just wasn't on Arena as much. I was doing other things. But Foundations was so like looks so fun. Um, it feels
Aside
like
from the fact that it'll
the
be in standard for the next 5 years, I think that's a major issue by itself.
that's like a whole discussion. I don't know how I feel about it. I think I like it. Um, maybe I'm in the minority. I don't think so. I think you're out of touch. No. Um,
That's probably true. We're almost 40 years old. That's probably very true at this point.
um, I think the most recent like Magic sets in terms of flavor and story have been really good, And if they can take the time to work like world build and and get better writing and flavor and mechanics for standard like powered sets through you like in universe, I think then I'm okay with universes beyond. I don't want like Lorwyn to suffer because of Spider-Man or Avatar. And I don't
Yeah,
think it will, to be clear. I just that is like the fear that I have is the magic's like what makes magic magic stops becoming as important or becomes like worse.
yeah. But I don't think we have to worry about that because if you look at Lorwyn, we had Lorwyn and Shadowmoor. That's only two sets of a very rich uh, universe of magic, and they can warp and twist the lore around how they want to make more lore stuff. Spider-Man, you've got well over 50, 60 years of comic book lore to work with. That's all that you've got. And, there's magic or comic fans might, hate me for it's not like a whole lot has changed for Spider-Man. Like the stories kind of get more interesting and new characters get introduced, but it's kind of just been the same thing since 1963. It's always just been Peter Parker doing stuff. He's fought the
Yeah.
same fight enemies for the past 60 years. And it's only up until now that they've started like branching out the universe there. But that's all that Wizards has to work with is what's there. And if you really look at it, there's not that much to work with. It's just Peter Parker fighting the bad guys with his other spider buddies. But Lorwyn can be whatever. I mean, look what they did with Kamigawa to Neon Dynasty. Like that's a radical reimagining of a world that you but it was still felt like Kamigawa. I don't know that they could do that with Spider-Man without Disney Marvel going, "Hey, can you guys not do that? That's not what Spider-Man is. That's not
Yeah.
that." Like they're so on rails with what they have to work with, as opposed
Well,
to the infinite amount of creativity that the team has for sets.
yeah. Well, there's also the other concern that I have, which I don't know if it's going to bear out or not, so we'll see, is these sets becoming pseudo reserve lists because of licensing. So
Yeah.
if you look at like I'll go to like video games like Guitar Hero or Rock Band that you can't some of them you can't play anymore because the licensing. Like the songs aren't
Oh yeah.
like they didn't have licenses in perpetuity. And these sure as hell are not licensed in perpetuity. Like absolutely. I would assume you get a set number of print runs for these things. Um
Yeah, yeah, and then it's gone. Well, I mean, the Warhammer had the same exact problem because it took how long to get Warhammer onto Magic Online, and there were
yeah.
legacy decks that were trying to say Catherine is a great example of that. It's the Miracle Angel that was I wouldn't say mandatory, but a really big component of certain blue white decks. And if you played on Moto and in paper, your results couldn't be the same because you couldn't play the card that you needed to that might be your finisher in your paper deck.
Yeah, and Poxwalkers and Oops All Spells, which is a whole other discussion.
Yeah,
Um
exactly. Yeah,
yeah, no, like and to be super clear, Games Workshop is tyrannical with their copyright. Like
that
they are
too.
like
Yes.
Nintendo levels of protective and that's I also don't think people expected any of those cards to be playable in an internal format and like that's definitely like an issue. But I mean even the Spider-Man cards are getting different all universes within on Arena. Like
Yeah,
you
I
can't
think if
play
we
with
once we
Spider-Man on Arena.
revisit that, yeah, once we revisit the universes within piece of this and see what it looks like on the other side of things, that might be the way that Wizards can skirt this reprinting issue, where they can reprint, um, Pete the Spider Person, as the universes within. That one they can print because at that point it isn't like obviously Spider-Man, it's some sort of, like very loose knockoff. That might be
Yeah.
the way to get around that. But even then, that just feels incredibly
Yeah. And I'm curious too like how the names Like, are they gonna have to rename every single card? Is it just an art change? Like, Guy in the Chair, 3 mana, 2/3 mana dork that you can pay 1 and a green, tap it, put a +++1 counter on target spider, activate only as a sorcery.
Yeah.
Is Guy in a
Well,
Chair gonna just be renamed to Dwarf in a Chair? Can you keep the name Guy in a Chair? Or
I
is
think so because it isn't a unique like noun or person, and I think that's where Wizards got smart and named a bunch of these cards something very very. So when they, like I was talking about earlier, these cards that feel like they were designed with the mandate to go to universes within first and foremost, and then they kind of reverse engineered them. So Guy in the Chair, Romantic Rendezvous, Unstable Experiment, Grow Extra Arms. That doesn't sound like Spider-Man to me. That just sounds like a random magic card that's from a, just whatever set that has to do with like science experiments. Maybe it's this could be
Ravnica?
Ravnica. Yeah, yeah, Ravnica.
Spider,
Yeah,
yeah.
but Doc Ock's henchman, that is a very specific thing that will probably turn into villainous henchman, and then as soon as you do that, and then you're fine.
Yeah, you cut out there for a sec, but, yeah, I wonder I had the thought, I wanna get your thoughts on it more, 'cause we've talked about it in, like, over chat and stuff, is having Universes Beyond sets have the Godzilla style, uh, naming, where you get a full Final Fantasy set, and the card name Cloud is instead Bob. Well, we can't do Bob, it's Dark Confidant. Um, Earl, uh, so you have Cloud is actually Earl, and Earl's the Universes Within name. And the first few print runs of Final Fantasy are Final Fantasy Universes Beyond. And then the set is then printed Universes Within, and it has a different name, or I don't know how they could do it where it's not confusing. But having those things already in place. Um,
Yeah, so we're talking about the Godzilla cards that were the actual name of the card, but in that really small font beneath the Godzilla terrorist tyrant or whatever it was. Like that's what we're talking about here.
yeah. Yeah, so like Garuda, um, Doom of Depths, there's the uh Gigian.
Oh, Gigan Cyber Terror. Yeah,
Yeah, and underneath it says Garuda Doom of Depths, and you can look at it and be like, oh cool, I could just reprint Garuda. I don't have to worry about printing Cyberclaw Terror.
Cyber Terror. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think we're gonna have to see what Wizards does with this universes within, because they didn't have that problem with the Godzilla license. Toho was all gung ho to put those cards, get them on. Whatever they end up doing with um, is probably, I don't want to say it's going to set the precedent because, in my opinion, I think as soon as Wizards found out that they could not go on Arena with this, they should have scrapped the entire standard set and just went back to the small Assassin's Creed esque release. I think this decision to go universes within and have to do all renaming, retemplating, and it's going to do more harm than it's going to do any good.
Yeah.
So I think this is a one-off and disaster waiting to happen already.
Yeah, and also notably there are no commander decks with Spider-Man, which is the first time we're not getting commander decks, not including Assassin's Creed and Brothers War Aftermath, because those were not
Those were teeny
standard
tiny sets.
sets. I think
Um,
since Zendikar.
Zendikar Rising.
Yes, because we
Zendikar Rising had some. Yeah.
that's when they
Was
started
it?
doing the $20 ones every set, and then they
Yeah.
quickly scrapped that for very expensive ones, which sucks. I like those
Yeah.
cheap ones. Those were cool.
But I
Um,
don't remember if I don't think War of the Spark
mm-mm,
had.
nope. I
So I
think it
think
was
you
Zendikar.
Throne of Eldraine had some, if I'm not mistaken.
No.
Did it not?
Hold on.
Surely it
No,
did.
they had brawl decks.
That's right, Brawl. Okay, yeah. So it's been when did Eldraine come out? This is
Eldraine came out 2019.
2019. Yeah, so 6, 7 years at this point, we've had commander decks continuously.
I think so. Because when did Zendikar come out before or after Ikoria?
Zendikar was a set after Ikoria. Zendikar Rising came out immediately after.
Okay, that came out September 25th, 2020. Um, Ikoria, yeah, was so Ikoria had because Ikoria had the commander products for that year, which had like
Yes.
Dockside and the free spell cycle.
Yeah,
Then you
yeah.
had Zendikar, um,
Which was just two
Kaldheim.
decks. Yes, as Zendikar Rising, then it was Unsanctioned, Jumpstart, Double Masters, yeah, then Core 21, and then Kaldheim, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, the core sets didn't have. I think that's the last core set too. Um,
Officially, yes.
yeah. So
Officially
and
named as such, yeah.
I guess Jumpstart didn't have commander decks, so that's not totally true. However, this is the first set like in quite a while that doesn't have commander decks associated with it, which is interesting.
Yeah. I I'm gonna throw a tinfoil hat out there. I think that's because of the lack of design space.
I could believe
I
that.
th- I mean I think that they could have very easily done a really good run of commander decks. So you have like the heroes, you have like all the Spider-Men in one deck, then you have the villains in another deck, then you put the symbiotes in another deck, and maybe you only do 3 decks. You know, maybe there's only three. You don't need to do 4 or 5. But to do like 3 really well designed and very flavorful commander decks, I think that should have been the mandate here. And I'll stop harping on how bad of an idea I think this is, but I think that could have been the way forward there.
Yeah. No, we're just magic boomers shutting up the clouds. Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, I think Universes Beyond overall is a good thing for Magic, and I know people disagree with my take on that. People disagree with me, I think, are more in franchise players. I know I play Flesh and Blood, another card game, and I know a lot of people are going there because they're sick of how Magic is. I think part of it is they don't enjoy the variance of Magic, which is what one of the best things I love about the game.
Yeah.
Magic is easily my favorite game of all time. So to be clear, like I'm not saying I think Magic is like dying. I just think
It's
Universes
a
Beyond can
it's
be something fun.
evolving. Yeah. And I
Yeah,
just they
it is.
really need to figure out what, like I said, I think this is a point in time where we're going to see a lot of named characters, but in 3, 4 years, it's just going to phase out because I can't think of any more keys to actually make sense here to give you a full set. So it's a point in time. It's a growing pain, and I hope that it's a good experience for players when Spider-Man comes out. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna draft it at least. But so far I have not been impressed. I'll say that much.
Yeah. And I know people who are super excited for the set, and you know who they are?
Oh
All
yeah.
normies who I'm like, bro, have you so I went to well, I guess we'll kind of do a wrap up here because I know you probably want to get going soon. We're like an hour and a half in. Um, I went to my friend's 30th and he's like, "Oh yeah, my friend plays a Magic Arena." And I'm like, "Oh, great." And I'm like, "Bro, you want to play some Canlander?" He's like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "Oh, you play Arena. Like you're not like into Magic the way I'm like, "Okay, my bad." I heard that and I assumed I'm like, "Ah, sick." Not throwing shade. They were like super fun to play with. Like I enjoyed every like but I said, "Oh, dude, I built a Iron Man Charbelcher deck in Commander." They're like, "What's Charbelcher?" I'm like, "Oh god, you sweet poor soul." Um,
But that's fine because it interacts with Magic in a different way. Like
yep.
my wife likes
a-
to play her Doctor Who Commander deck, nothing else, and that's fine. you know?
Yeah. And it's those people, I'm saying those people like a bad thing. It's
Yeah,
those types of players who are not hyper engaged in Magic content creation, who aren't eating, sleeping, drinking the game, who don't have thousands of hours of like content watched, read, decks
decks
brewed
built, played.
that
Like yeah, it's a
that are
different level of engagement.
yeah, that are excited for the set, and I think people have to remember that because
yeah,
I don't want I don't want someone to be like, "I'm so excited to play Magic," and I'm starting with Spider-Man, and people be like, "Oh, dude, that's such bull crap." Like, I started with Scars of Mirrodin or, like, Kamigawa, like, when Magic was good. It's like, "Bro, old draft sets sucked." And if you disagree with me, you're wrong. Magic Limited has gotten so much better.
So much better, yes, but I will wholeheartedly defend Scars of Mirrodin as one of the great all-time drafts. So just
Oh, Scars was
that's
great, to be clear. That's when I, like, got really, like, into Magic. Um, but yeah, I think Universes Beyond is good for getting people into the game, and I think Magic the Gathering isn't this concept of a game. It is a, like, I joke, but it's like the Gary's mod of card games at this point.
absolutely.
Like,
It's
I've
an
had that.
engine first and foremost.
Yeah, it's RPG Maker, the card game. Um,
Wow, I just felt really old.
like, it is
there,
though,
there,
right? Like,
there's a copy of RPG Maker 2 somewhere in a box in my house for the PlayStation 2 that I can remember jamming so many hours into and then losing the memory card with all my stuff on. Just
no. Yeah, like, it's what Magic is now, and I think that's a great thing. I think it's good that Magic is evolving for everybody, and it's not just this niche nerd culture thing.
yeah.
Um,
If you're hyped for Spider-Man, I'm hyped for you. I hope you play other formats. I hope you play other sets. But if this gets you in, awesome. I will hang out with you and I will play with your draft decks and all that. Um, this one might just be a miss for me.
yeah, like, I'll to be clear, I don't care what you sleeve up against me. I will play against it. Like, I'm here to play Magic. I as long as the
Unless you play Mill, I will politely decline to play against you.
that's why I play graveyard decks. All right, let's wrap this up. Alex, where can people find you?
So I have basically devoted myself for most of the media, but
Good call.
Blue Sky. You can follow me at Alex0088. I post, it's mostly comic book reviews and workout schedule. So if you're into obviously magic, workouts, different music, I post music stuff on there. Some of my more political posts are on there too. Yeah, if you feel inclined to give me a follow, I'll follow you in return.
You head out there. Say that again. You follow them. You follow. You give a follow in return.
Yeah, you follow me, I'll follow you back. If you're cool, I'll follow you.
Cool. And I'm hoping to have you on the channel more. We'll definitely talk about that. So, and again, I'm Ben with Bathroom Brews MTG. With I am Bathroom Brews MTG. You can find me at youtube.com/@ BRBMTG. I'm on Blue Sky at BRBMTG. You can find me also on TikTok at Bathroom Brews MTG. I post really low effort memes there that people like, so we take those. As always, like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. And we will see you nerds in the next one with a more prepared show with hopefully show notes so we don't ramble like old men. Bye.
That's what they're here for.
It's true.